Hi, I'm Beth, and like many of you, I suspect, I've had a complicated relationship with Christianity, but here's my story so far. From the time I was about 10, my family attended an evangelical, non denominational, and I would even say Pentecostal Christian church. The gift I got from this experience was the faith to believe in something larger than myself. However, it wasn't a kind of Christianity that was able to sustain me through adulthood. This is a familiar story for many people, but once I got to college um, and began meeting new people and learning about new cultures, I struggled with the idea that a loving God would send people to hell. And I also struggled to reconcile friendships I had with LGBTQ friends with what Christianity had taught me about sexuality. So these quotes I came to me later, but they really resonate with my experience of Christianity at the time. The first is song lyrics from Tracy Chapman. If everything you think you know makes your life unbearable, would you change? The next is a quote from James Baldwin. If the concept of God has any validity or any use, it can only be to make us larger, freer, and more loving. If God cannot do this, then it is time we got rid of him. And I think I largely did get rid of God, at least in Christian sense, and at least spiritually. Although intellectually, I was still very much interested in Christianity. In fact, I went to grad school and studied religion, culture, gender, and sexuality. These are some images of work from my favorite scholar, my favorite historian of religion who happened to study Catholicism and did the kind of work that I hoped to do one day. And also, I kind of took on St. Jude as my patron saint because he's the patron saint of hopeless causes, which is how I often felt in graduate school. Um, and then by the time I was a young parent, I decided that I needed to, and I'd moved to Texas. I was kind of alone, and I needed to not only have an intellectual component to my religious experience, but I wanted to grow spiritually, and I wanted to do that in a community. And I found Unitarian Universalism, and I found Northwoods. And I appreciated the way it resonated with my identity as someone who grew up in Christianity, right? So it kind of grew from Christianity like I did, but also came to embrace other things that I had come to embrace, like wisdom from other world religions and the spiritual teaching of earth centered traditions. So I thought I had my relationship with Christianity kind of squared away at this point. It had been part of what made me who I was, but I no longer was really affiliated with it. And then just recently, I took a job at a Catholic girls' school. And on the first day of orientation, we all sat down with this amazing 91-year-old nun who'd been one of the founders of this particular school. And she told us about the founders of Sacred Heart Education, who were women with a mission to educate girls. And this made me think about Christianity in a different way. Christianity that emphasized education for girls was something I could relate to and get behind. And then I would say also just the daily ritual of being in prayer that we have every day has become meaningful for me, and a message that I would describe as a relentless emphasis on the love of Jesus and Jesus's care for the least of these has been something consistent in the messages about Christianity that I have experienced in this new place. And also a commitment to shared values has become really important to me. So this made me start to reconsider Christianity. And then I think the final really interesting connection that I've made, at least at this point at my new job, is when we went on a retreat to learn about Catholic social teachings. And right away, I was reminded of UU principles. So our UU principles are here, of course, represented in the rainbow. And then I've taken some excerpts from the values of Catholic social teaching. Our very first principle is to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And one of the important teachings that was emphasized from Catholic social teaching is that The dignity of every person is the foundation of a moral vision of society. It also emphasizes solidarity across racial, ethnic, and ideological differences, and care for God's creation, which, if you're familiar with our UU principles, there's a lot of connection in there. So I still wouldn't say that I would identify as a Christian, but I would say my recent experiences have given me reason to reconsider once again my relationship with Christianity.